Hello, welcome to Scamwatch. Thanks for coming back this month for more shenanigans with scammers, and have I got a good one for you. But first, I need to introduce you to someone who's going to become very important to this channel as it continues with monthly content. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Peter G. Carrotson. He's a fictional character I created to be my alias going forward with this series. These scammers are, after all, criminals. In episode 1, I was approached randomly on my personal Facebook by a scammer, but I knew that if I was going to actively seek out no-good scammer scum, I didn't want to use my own email address, so Peter G. Carrotson came to be. I set up an email address and photoshopped a few images together. I wanted to create a face that wouldn't get recognised by reverse image searching. Most scammers I've come across have a brain like a cheese sandwich, but better safe than sorry. I then set about finding every old-school guest book I could find online. Have you ever wondered why websites don't have guest books anymore? Bots, my friends. Bots. Within hours of signing just 4 or 5 guest books online, Mr. Carrotson's inbox was flooded with spam and phishing emails just like I hoped. So the hit rate with scam baiting is pretty low. Most scammers realise pretty quickly that you're fucking them around, but occasionally you find one who's either so stupid they don't realise what's going on, or, for whatever reason, they're not actually able to stop replying. You've read the title of this video. You know I got a bite. I got a bite, a big one. Ladies and gentlemen, throughout histories there have been many great love stories. Romeo and Juliet, Dr. Zhivago, Pride and Prejudice, but boys and girls, nothing compares to the pure, unfiltered sexual power of Peter G. Carrotson and Famke Bremen. Our story starts with an email from Rotarian Onath McMurkers, who wrote,
Hello! The Swedish Rotary Foundation has selected you as a beneficiary to receive a donation of 1 million euros. It is an emergency support aid, meaning for you and the needy in your community. After you care for your personal needs, you are expected to assist financially challenged families, including elderly individuals and those with pre-existing medical conditions. In order to expedite the process, your emergency donation will be swift, transferred to your bank account within 48 hours. All bureaucratic formalities have been expunged, so the money can get to you without any delay. To get started, reconfirm your details in your reply, thus, full name, contact address, present occupation, mobile phone number. Sincerely, Rotarian Onath McMurkers.
So, I, as Peter, replied with, Mr. McMurkers, I'm sorry I'm a tad late in my response. I hope I'm still eligible for the donation grant. My full name is Peter Gomez Carrotson. My contact address is 11 Montague Place, Marylebone, London 1WH2AL, which is the address of the Swedish Embassy. Present occupation is beanbag salesman, and my mobile number is 07958 100 813, which is the number of a scam cold caller I'd received a call from the day before. Please get back to me as soon as possible so we can arrange transfer of funds. Sincerely, Pete. Onath then sent back a very long email, which was clearly a cut and paste template. It said some stuff about government procedure, and even included a bit about COVID-19 measures. But really, the only important bit was the last paragraph, which read,
Dr. Prudentia Nicolo is the trustee agent who is going to guide you in your relations with the bank for your funds release. Get in touch with her as you read this. Introduce yourself as the beneficiary of Architect Segerstrom's 1 million euro donation. Don't forget to attach with the email you are to send her your most recent ID, item of identification, ID, driver's license, or other. She will attend to you accordingly. Sincerely yours, Rotarian Onath McMurkers.
So I shot back with, Hello, Reverend McMurkers. I decided to call him Reverend for no reason. Thought it might get a rise. It didn't. Just to confirm with you, I have now emailed Dr. Prudencia. I am waiting to hear from her. Regards, Peter. And I did. Exactly as I said, I emailed the doctor as he'd requested. I said, Dearest Dr. Prudencia, I am contacting you at the request of Rotary McMagoo. How that didn't at least hint at me taking the piss, I don't know. I'm a beneficiary of Architect Segerstrom's 1 million euro donation. My name is Peter Geralt Carrotson Jr. As requested, I have attached a photograph of my passport to use as ID. I would love to know more about you and what role you would be playing going forward. Where are you from? What is your educational background? In terms of Segerstrom's fortune, what are the next steps? How do we proceed with the process? I await your response with bated breath. Lots of love, PG Carrotson. I had a lot of fun mocking up that passport, despite feeling like some sort of super criminal while I was doing it. The passport number and anything which could identify the original passport that was edited have been removed or altered beyond recognition, so don't worry about that. I won't bore you with going through Dr. Prue's whole reply. Long story short, Prudentia replied telling me to email another person. This time it was the aforementioned Ms. Famke Bremen, who I was told worked for the Triodos Bank, which is an actual bank in Belgium, although it's more likely that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is in their employ than Ms. Bremen. I did, however, email Ms. Bremen as requested. Hello, I am writing at the request of Dr. Prudence. I am the beneficiary. How do we proceed? Thanks, Peter. And with those words began a love affair for the ages. It started off slowly, I'll admit. Famke replied 12 hours later with a very long, formal email that didn't betray her emotion in the slightest. She offered Peter a choice of how to receive his €1 million. Did he want a prepaid ATM card or a bank transfer? I suppose the purpose of offering this choice was to make me feel like it was in my hands, and perhaps help to convince me of the legitimacy of the whole scam. Peter didn't waver. Hello, Miss Bremen. I'll take the bank transfer. Sounds much simpler. Thanks, Peter. Oh, somebody get a thermostat. It's getting hot in here. Famke replied the next day, saying,
CC Peter. The bank transfer method is ideal and quick. You have to provide complete details of your account which you will want the €1 million transferred into. The information should contain these particulars: account name, bank address, account number, routing number, if any, sort code, if any, IBAN, if any, SWIFT code. Committed to your service, Ms. Famke Bremen.
You could cut the sexual tension with a spoon. Peter responded, I'm ever so sorry, I'm finding it nearly impossible to read that font. Right, pause the episode for a minute, because who the fuck uses Comic Sans when they're trying to be a professional bank person? Who uses Comic Sans? Who fucking uses Comic fucking Sans? Sorry. I hate Comic Sans. Let's continue. Could you resend your email in a clearer font? I wouldn't want to miss anything important. Peter. Which she did, almost immediately. But Peter was not about to hand out his bank details to any Tom, Dick or Barry. He wanted proof she was who she said she was. Hello, Famke. Thank you for your prompt and careful response. As we're now getting down to brass tacks and talking bank details, I must ask to see some form of ID from you. Please don't consider me untrusting, but I can't go handing me details out to people via email without knowing they are who they say they are. As a banker, I'm sure you'd expect nothing less. Just pop the ID over to me and I'll send you me details. Kind regards, Peter. I was genuinely shocked by how prepared for that this scammer was. It took just over an hour for an email to land in my inbox with an admittedly fake-looking, but not ridiculously fake-looking ID.
CC Peter. Of course it's all right for you to ask for my ID. No offense taken. I have attached copy of its front and back with this correspondence. Committed to your service, Ms. Famke Bremen.
A quick crop and resize on Photoshop and a reverse image search removed any tiny doubt that this ID wasn't complete and utter bullshit. But that was it! I had my angle. Now armed with a clean copy of the photo used in the fake ID and passable Photoshop skills, I decided to play my hand. Peter couldn't just sit back now he knew that this Famke was the Famke. My dearest Famke, when I saw your name in the first email I received from Dr. Prudencia, I dismissed it as too good to be true. There was no way, or so I thought, that you could be the same Famke Bremen from Disney World in 2013. But your ID has confirmed my suspicions. It is you. I'm so sorry for my deception, but I didn't want to bring it up and be mistaken, as I don't know if my heart could have taken it. You may not remember me. I wouldn't blame you. Not only was I thinner then, but I also went by my middle name Gary at the time. Even though our torrid affair was short-lived, you've always remained in my heart, and I've never truly loved anyone the way I loved you for that brief week in July all those years ago. I've attached a photo we took with Mickey. I keep it framed by my bedside. I cannot count the nights when I've slept with it wrapped in my arms, dreaming of the day when we can be together again. Your hair was longer then, but I like it the way you have it now. Tell me you feel the way I do, Famke. I don't think I could go on without you. Eternally yours, Pete, aka Gary. Sorry, I'm a little emotional. It's a beautiful story. Love separated by the English Channel, reunited by the beauty of a bank transfer. It's the classic tale. Famke wasn't prepared to talk about personal business, though.
CC Peter, you know we can't discuss personal relationship here. I'm in charge of your funds disbursement presently. That's what I should conclude with you first. You are expected to provide complete details of your account, which you will want the 1 million euros wire transferred into. The information should contain these particulars: account name, bank address, account number, routing number, if any, sort code, if any, IBAN, if any, SWIFT code. Committed to your service, Ms. Famke Bremen.
Fobbed off with a template! I, or more accurately Peter, was heartbroken, dismissed in a sentence, and then presented with a message literally cut and pasted from an earlier email. It wasn't just being sloppy with Peter's feelings, but also lazy with the scam. I mean, come on. Famke, my darling, please don't be so aloof. I've waited so long to hear from you again. Now I've found you, there's nothing on my mind but to tell you how much I love you. Do you remember the day we went on the It's a Small World ride? We held each other so tight the whole way round, and at the end, we could barely get out of the tiny carriage. That night, we dined at Gaston's Tavern and talked about how we'd be together forever. We were so naive. Damn it, if only I hadn't lost your number. I need you to tell me you remember. All of this means nothing if it's without you. I don't want the money if you can't remember our time together. Tell me you remember. My eternal love, Pete. Gary. At this point, I had one mission and one mission only. I was going to make this con person confess their love to a fictional person in an attempt to con me out my bank details.
CC, Peter. One thing at a time. I guess you're supposed to focus on this formal transaction before anything else. I expect you to be business-minded, which should appeal to me much. I will be expecting your bank details as required. Committed to your service, Ms. Famke Bremen.
Progress! See, here the quality of the English slips. The sentences had become less fully formed. I'd forced the scammer off script, and they were having to improvise. Also, look how they implied that following the bank's procedures would appeal to them. Were they flirting? It certainly seemed like they were, albeit subtly, flirting with Peter. They were buying that this man thought that they had had a love affair. I'd hooked them in, and now it was time for the finishing touches. Obviously, there was no way I was sending them any bank details. My dearest Famke, I don't see any point in the money without you. I found this picture you sent me on our last night together. It was a beautiful night. We made love until the sun came up, and in the distance, we could hear the fireworks from the magical Mickey parade. You look beautiful in that picture. You look beautiful on that night. You are beautiful. I can't proceed unless you tell me you love me, Famke. Say those words and I'll fill in whatever damned forms you like. I need to hear you say you love me. Yours, eternally, Pete. Gary. But Famke was unmoved.
CC Peter, how are you doing? Could you provide the details for us to proceed with your funds disbursement? Committed to your service, Ms. Famke Bremen.
Heart trembling, Peter decided to go big or go home. Only a big gesture would show his darling Famke how much she meant to him. My darling Famke! I cannot continue until you either tell me you love me or break my heart. I need closure. With that in mind, last night I took an impulsive decision. Darling, don't be mad. I'm outside. I'm literally outside your workplace right now. I won't bother you while you're working, but if you let me know when your lunch break is, we can go for some waffles or beer. I hear they're quite popular in Belgium. I'm still waiting to hear you say I love you, and then I'll answer your questions, provide whatever details you want, and we can share the money together forever. With all my love, Peter. Gary. No reply. The penny had dropped. Famke was gone. Tears streaming down his cheeks, Peter typed one final email to his unrequited love. My darling Famke, it is with a heavy heart that I have returned to the UK, heartbroken and alone. Though our love may have burned out, I will go forward stronger and wiser. And besides, we'll always have Disney World. Goodbye, my love. Peter. Gary. And I put down my phone, having spent days working with this scammer and pretty pleased to have wasted their time. When the dust had settled and Peter's broken heart had started the long, painful journey to recovery, I sent this final email to the scammer behind Ms. Famke, Dr. Prue and Onath McMurkers. Dear Famke, as you have no doubt realised by now, there's no such person as Peter G. Carrotson. You put an extraordinary amount of effort into this scam, with multiple characters and email addresses being used to legitimise your criminal attempt to extort money from people. I certainly enjoyed going to ridiculous lengths to mess with you in return. I know you won't learn anything from this experience, and that you've no doubt already moved on to your next victim, but I feel comforted to know that I managed to, at least temporarily, waste your time. I hope every time you see a Disney movie, you'll think of old Peter G. Carrotson and feel a small twang of guilt for the nefarious way you choose to live your life. This conversation will soon go live on YouTube. Cheers for the content. The Scam Watcher. And thus, the greatest love story ever told is over. Thanks for watching. See you next month.
Every night in my dreams I see you, I feel you, that is how I know you. Go on. Far across the distance and spaces between us, you have come to show you. Go on, oh Famke. Near, far, wherever you are, I believe that the art does go on. And once more you open my door, and you're here in me heart and me heart.